What's up guys, Nsima the Sense for Inyang here now. Do you remember that day, a week and 3 days ago, when at the end of the video I said, give me one fitness related problem you may be having right now? Give me one. So I didn't ask that question in vain, wasn't just asking to ask a question. I'm gonna answer all those questions in this video. First, I'm heading to BJJ. That's just proof of time, 5:58. I'm gonna go to the evening roll, come back, go through all your questions, get the video done. It'll be to you tomorrow morning. Let's go.
No, I appreciate it.
Alright guys and gals, we are back home from BJJ. I got like 6 rolls in, but only showed you a little bit of 2 of them. Had to get the camera situated so that you guys could see me. Hope like my head isn't being cut off or anything. Now we're going to answer the questions from the YouTube from that video, and then a few questions that I got in my Instagram DMs. Actually, I got one first interesting question. And at the same time that this is going on, I'm gonna also have some footage from this past training week going, so that if there's anything you wanna see there in terms of deadlifts, squats, bench, you can see it. Now the first question is from Meaty. I don't know how you came up with that name, my friend. And the question is, how long have you been with your girlfriend? And does she lift? Okay, so I've been with my girlfriend, it's gonna be 4 years this coming April. So, it's quite a while. I've known her since I was 16, and I'm 24 now, just turned 24 on September 7th. So I've known her for 8 years, but we've been together for about 4 years. And yeah, she lifts every now and then. She doesn't lift as much as she used to. She's a lot busier. She's an accounting major, so she has some internships she's doing. But to be honest though, I'm gonna put this way because what seems to be fairly popular, especially in the fitness sphere, is hashtag fit couples, hashtag girls who lift, hashtag she squats, etc., right? I don't care if Donna lifts. I'm just gonna put it that way. I don't care if my girlfriend lifts. What I care about is that she stays healthy, and that she stays in shape in some way or form as the years go by, but she doesn't have to lift a damn weight. I don't think that, a relationship, especially with someone that's into fitness, if you're a guy or a girl that's into fitness, your significant other doesn't have to have fitness be their main thing. Like for me, fitness is my job. I coach people. It's what I do, but it doesn't have to be what she does. It doesn't have to be a big hobby for her. What I care about more is like her personality. If she had a personality that did not mesh well with mine, we would not be together, and we would not be able to tolerate each other, no matter how fit she is. So yeah, she lifts every now and then. She stays in shape. She's actually the one, oddly enough, who came up with the jiu-jitsu idea because she wanted to start jiu-jitsu before me. But then she ended up not having time, and I was like, you know what, that'd be a really cool thing for me to do, so I started it. But to get back to the point, no, I don't think, anybody, if you're in a relationship, you don't need to find someone that lifts. You just need to find someone with a personality that works well with yours. Similar ideas in terms of like the way you guys think or your outlook on life, and that should be what matters. Abdullah Al-Musalami, how tall am I? I already answered your question in the comments, my friend, but I am 6'2". I'm actually 6'1 3/4, but I say 6'2" because I want that extra 1/4 of an inch. Every 1/4 of an inch matters. Next question from Kofi and Two Sugars. Hello, my friend. He's actually a client. Kofi and Two Sugars asks, does stress have a huge role in fat loss? The last 2 months I've spent moving, being pseudo-homeless, and trying to fit training and cardio in at the same time as work. Despite that, the scale seems to stall a bunch. Stress and fat loss plateauing. Do it. Okay, so his main question is, does stress play a role on fat loss? Now, what is a bigger deal here is if an individual is in a new situation, okay, let's say they have a new job and they're stressed out, they're not getting as much sleep, so let's say they go from getting 7 or 8 hours to getting 4 to 5 hours. And they're doing a lot of things that they didn't used to do that they're not used to. The bigger role that would play a negative, that would have a negative effect of fat loss is the sleep. There's a lot of hormonal benefits that come along with getting a good amount of sleep that will help with fat loss over time. So the big thing is if you're not getting as much sleep as you used to and you start to stall and your workouts start to not go so well and your energy expenditure is a lot lower, you need to get more sleep, and then you'll probably notice things start to improve again. Now, does stress itself play a role on fat loss? Yes, it does. There's some weird dude in the comment section of this that kept saying stress doesn't play a role and stress doesn't play a role. My friend, stress plays a very, very big role. And this is something that you actually you usually see this with higher strung individuals, people that get stressed out a lot, that get freaked out a lot, especially when, for example, the scale isn't moving or their body isn't moving in as fast as a pace as they believe it should be. People like that tend to stress themselves out, tend to get really just anxious about things. And what will actually happen is that they'll increase higher levels of cortisol. And higher levels of cortisol will have a negative effect on fat loss over time. So the big thing for some individuals is just honestly to chill out. I've had some people where I've been like, okay, you know what, you're way too stressed out right now. What you should do is just have a night, have some fun. Don't really count too much. Try and be within your numbers, but eat something you really haven't had in a while and enjoy yourself. Don't worry too much about the next week. Just enjoy yourself. Stay within our caloric range. And what you'll actually notice in that week is they'll hit a new low because they've relaxed. They're not worrying about the scale. They're not worrying about their progress. And because they're not worried, their hormonal levels start to taper out into normal levels and they start dropping again. Another thing is, either way, when you get to lower levels of body fat, your body will be in a stressed out situation because it's not normal to get to really low levels of body fat. It's not normal to do a crazy amount of cardio per week. It's not normal to be in a deficit for an extended period of time. So your body's gonna be stressed out either way. And that's why it's always good to have variables to track over time. Like I mentioned before in many videos, it's always good to weigh yourself. It's always also good to have measurements because the weeks that the scale doesn't move, right? That doesn't mean you need to change your macros. What will probably happen is you'll see drops in your waist, your hips, or something, which will show that you're still progressing in the right direction. If you're still progressing in the right direction, don't make a change too fast. You'll probably notice the next week you'll hit a new low and you'll be fine. But the scale isn't the only variable that should make you change your macros or change the amount of cardio that you do. You should always have a good amount of variables that you can look at so you can see that you're making progress over time. Stress plays a role. From Christian Salamanca. My biggest problem, I would say, is actually getting lean again. I used to weigh about 145 pounds and decided to bulk, which was a very dirty bulk. I got up to 195 pounds and finally realized that I was just fat. So I started doing a slow cut, but never really lost the fat. I've always been lean, but now I hover around 165 to 155. The lowest I have my macros was at 150 protein, 160 carbs, and 60 fat. I walk over 10,000 steps a day and drink my gallon of water a day. I try to hit about 20 to 30 grams of fiber. I then start to incorporate cardio, I would say every other day, starting at 100 kcal, slowly increasing to 300 kcals. So that would be every other day at 300 kcals. That would be maybe 4 days a week, so 1,200 kcals of cardio a week at most you're doing. Getting lean again. So I would just suggest that don't really take away from your macros, Christian. Increase your cardio, because if the maximum amount of cardio you're doing is 1,200 kcals a week and you're not dropping anymore, bump it up to 2K. Bump it up to 2,000 calories of low intensity cardio, and you'll probably see yourself start to trend downwards even more. That's a simple answer, but another thing could be that if you've been in deficit for a long period of time, it's maybe time to take a diet break for about 3 to 4 weeks. A diet break means that you bring your macros back up to maintenance levels for an extended period of time. Like I mentioned, 3 to 4 weeks. That'll help you regain a little bit of your metabolic rate. And by doing that, when you bump yourself back down into a deficit, it'll be a lot easier to see the scale start to trend downwards. Another benefit is that when you bring these calories up to maintenance, you probably won't see a crazy amount of weight gain. If you're currently weighing around, I believe you said you are hovering around 165 to 155 is a really big hover. Like hovering 10 pounds in there is really big, but you shouldn't really get up to 170. You should probably stay around maybe 163, 165 at maintenance caloric intake. And then when you drop it down, you'll probably start to drop at a linear fashion again. I've had situations where I've had clients that I had a guy named Presley. Actually, Presley, if you're watching this video, you're here. He was at around 157 for about 4 weeks. His body continued to change visually, we just didn't see a change in the mirror. We went and did a diet break for about 4 weeks, and this was on contest prep. Once we got off that diet break, he started to trend right downwards, ended up being about 145 at contest, but it happened right after the diet break. So that's just a sign that maybe you should take a diet break, my friend. Just a suggestion, give it a try, let me know what happens. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. I wonder how I'm gonna answer this. From Maxim Mandeville, finding a balance between work, marathon training, soccer, sporadic, and lifting. My man, okay. So the activities are marathon training, soccer, and lifting. Do you have an idea about how marathon training, simply loads of running, will affect hypertrophy and strength gains? Ran one last year and progress didn't go as I wanted. About 5 to 6K calories a day just to function. Dude. Okay, someone actually answered kind of something I'm gonna say here. So myself, I do BJJ and I do lifting. The type of cardio that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu isn't necessarily just an endurance type of cardio as stressful as running would be. Running doesn't mesh well with training that trends towards hypertrophy training. Like, you look at a marathon runner. Do they typically look like someone who lifts a lot of weight, or are they typically muscular individuals? I'm not saying marathon runners can't be, but usually they're not. It's just different types of muscle fibers that are used in the majority of the activity when it comes to lifting and when it comes to marathon training, and it's totally different. So I would say if you're trying to excel at both, you're gonna be spreading yourself a little bit thin. It's not that it's gonna be impossible, but if you wanna do well in the marathon, you're gonna be lifting maybe twice a week, mainly probably doing compound movements, not too much accessories, because those accessories are probably gonna tire you out when you get ready to actually go on a long run. And you'd probably have to focus a bit on marathon running. What you should actually try and do is just maintain as much strength as you can. Your goal shouldn't probably be to gain a lot of strength while you're getting ready for a marathon, because it's possible, but it's gonna be very difficult to do, and it really shouldn't be your main focus if you're trying to run a 26.2 or a 13.5. You can balance the two. You can maintain strength, and you can gain distance, or you can gain time on what your distance would be, or you could gain a minimal amount of strength over a longer period of time, and try and slowly get better in terms of your time on the track. But those don't mesh well. Lifting and marathon running, at least lifting for the goal of hypertrophy, and marathon running don't mix well. A better, I think, would be to lift mainly for strength, and then also have marathon running along with it. But those are two activities that don't go too well together. Sorry. From Austin Walko, my problem is the new expansion for World of Warcraft. It's stealing my life. Help, please. Dude, that's why I didn't play World of Warcraft as a teenager, because I knew I would get addicted, and I probably wouldn't be who I am today if I played World of Warcraft. So I'd say just try and delete your account, cry a little bit afterwards, shed the tears, and then get on with life. My problem is nutrition, eating more. In terms of lifting, I overthink my lifts, specifically my deadlift, and fuck up my form. Okay, so if your problem is nutrition and eating more, well, you just kind of have to eat more. And in terms of lifting, I overthink my lifts, specifically my deadlift, and fuck up my form. So one thing that when one tends to overthink their lift, they're thinking of a lot of cues at the same time. When I'm working with somebody and we're going over and changing their form on a certain lift, what we do is focus on one cue at a time. For example, with the deadlift, if we're working on our sumo deadlift, right? And let's say that on their sumo deadlift, their hips tend to rise and then they drive their hips through on the deadlift. The only first thing we're gonna focus on is keeping the hips locked in and driving the hips straight through. We're gonna focus on that one cue for 2 or so weeks. Then maybe if we see their knees are caving a little bit or wiggling, the next thing we're gonna focus on is creating torque so we can keep the knees out. And for the next week and a half to 2 weeks, we're just gonna focus on keeping the knees out, because the first cue we worked on is already in place and they're already used to doing it. It's a natural thing for them to do. So my suggestion to you would be to work on one cue every few weeks. That's gonna improve your deadlift over time. Don't try and add in a bunch of different things to your deadlift, because it's not gonna work, and it's not gonna be something you'll be able to actually fix in a good period of time. Focus your fitness, Joe. 2 things in bench: pulling the bar off the rack, not pushing, and initiating leg drive. Okay, I don't know if I can be seen right now, but a lot of people have the problem when they're benching and they're racking the bar by themselves. They'll get themselves set up by pushing their shoulders back, okay? They're up here, and then when they take the bar out of the rack, they push. You notice that now my shoulders aren't locked. They bring it out and then they try and get back in position. Wrong, because now you lost all your tightness. You're not gonna regain as much tightness as you had at the setup. What you need to do is this. When you're already set up, you're here at the bar, and then you want to use your lats to bring the bar out of the rack. So that's just something you're gonna have to practice over time. What you'll have to do also, I suggest that you take video and just make sure that you're not doing this up and back. You want to utilize your lats and bring the bar out. That's one thing. Utilizing leg drive. One good tip that some people utilize is pushing the ground backwards, okay? So if you have your foot right here, imagine that you're pushing your heel towards your body. That will actually help you feel kind of what's going on with your lower body. And it's a good place to start for creating leg drive during the bench press. So those are 2 things that I'd suggest that you do. Nsima, how do you approach nutrition when it comes to combining lifting with BJJ? Do you still bulk and cut for your bodybuilding goals, powerlifting goals? If yes, how does bulking affect your BJJ? I'm currently in an awkward position. where I want to bulk up to reach my bodybuilding goals, but I don't want to feel heavy and slow while training BJJ. Also, the bulking might mess with my weight category for my BJJ competitions. So, Greg, you first asked how I deal with it. I'm not currently really bulking per se. I'm probably eating close to maintenance caloric level just because I still do BJJ three or five times a week, and I still lift 4 times a week. So I'm eating maybe around 4,000 to 4,500 a day. But right now my main goals are strength, gaining strength in all my movements over time. I'm not trying to really see the scale go up rapidly. I remember I made a video a few weeks ago about heading towards 275. To be honest, I don't want to be 275. I've realized that a while ago that I really don't want to be heavier, that if anything, I want to be a little bit lighter. I want to be able to perform better in terms of strength, in terms of being on the mat. So I don't think that gaining a crazy amount of muscle is going to be conducive towards my goals. I mean, like I mentioned before, I'm not a pure bodybuilder. I do a lot of other things. So for me, I'm not trying to see weight on the scale, but I'm trying to see performance improvements in terms of strength and in terms of my BJJ on the mat. And I'm seeing both of those because I'm concentrating on performance and strength. I'm not just necessarily concentrating on just putting on a lot of size. Now for you, I think for you is just, we need to figure out what comes first. So do you have a bodybuilding show coming up soon that we're trying to get ready for? And in that case, obviously, you know that you need to be in a deficit. You need to be able to count the amount of calories you do in terms of cardio. And you need to obviously count your macros. If a show is really far off, like 2 years away, and you have a BJJ tournament coming up and you need to cut weight, then you just need to cut weight fairly quickly. And your focus there would be BJJ, and the lifting thing would be at the side. And if you're like just in an extended off season and you want to gain some muscle over time, it's just figuring out, your time period for things. If you don't have a tournament for a while and you want to put on some muscle, you have maybe 6 or 7 months to do it, then focus on not necessarily seeing the scale go up. That's one thing that I think a lot of people get wrong when it comes to bulking. They just want to see the scale increase a lot over time. But I think one big thing you need to focus on is increases in strength and just increases in your performance levels in the gym. So if you see that while keeping your body weight fairly steady, maybe gaining a pound, and I don't even know how much you weigh, so it's not good that I say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Maybe gaining around maybe a pound every 2 to 3 weeks, so maybe about 2 pounds a month. And 2 pounds a month is sometimes pushing it for some individuals, but if you gain strength while seeing the scale go up at a moderate pace, you're definitely gaining muscle over time. You definitely might be seeing improvements in body composition by seeing body fat go down. I work with individuals where I keep their weight at the same place for months on end, and all we focus on is gaining strength. And over those periods of time, they see muscle gain, okay? And they also see an improvement in body composition, meaning their body fat goes down a little bit while they're gaining muscle, while they're staying at the same weight. This is my definition of a perfect lean bulk, because you're maintaining a body composition of 13 to 15% over a long period of time. Your strength is increasing over time. Your accessory work is increasing over time. And by definition, if you're increasing strength and in your compound and accessory movements, you're definitely gaining muscle, even if the scale isn't going up. So that's why I track a bunch of things like weight and measurements, and I've explained that before, but hopefully that answers your question. You probably get asked a lot, but do you pull hook grip? Yes, I pull hook grip. I do not pull double overhand. I'd be a beast if I could pull double overhand in the sevens. That would be insane. From Nico S, this is actually on IGDMs. Nsima, why do you choose to stay natural if you're currently actually Natty? If you went on, you would be one of the top in the IFBB. Why stay natural? There's no reason you should. I don't understand. Please explain. Okay, so I've said this before, guys, but my goal has never been to be in the IFBB or, be one of the top NPC bodybuilders. To be honest, I don't like that look. I don't like the bulkiness. I don't like the breathing and all the, the negative things that comes with that territory. And at the same time, even when it comes to natural bodybuilding, guys, my goal is not to be a bodybuilder. I'm a guy that loves to lift, loves activity, but bodybuilding is just something that I do. Okay, it's something that I do, something that I'm good at, but I just love the activity of lifting and progressing. So I know that I'm probably gonna compete. I said I was gonna compete this coming year. I'm probably not going to. I'm gonna take more time off because the strength gains are just too good right now, and the BJJ progress is just too good right now. My goal is just to increase athletic performance in terms of the different sports that I do. It's not to be the biggest guy. I still want to maintain a lot of muscle. I want to maintain a lot of strength, and I want to be able to be someone who can perform really well on the mat, perform really well in terms of strength levels, and be a fairly large individual when it comes to performing on the stage or being on the stage in terms of bodybuilding. But I'm not someone who has bodybuilding over everything. So I'm not trying to achieve that physique, but I'm just trying to achieve crazy levels of performance. That's what I want to do. And I want to also help others achieve performance goals too, whether it be bodybuilding, powerlifting, or becoming more effective as a BJJ athlete. Oh my gosh, guys, I am so mad. I was pretty much done with the Q&A. That was the last question, and for some reason I think the camera turned off, or I lost memory card space and I wasn't able to finish the answer. What I was gonna say was I want to continue to increase my athletic performance on the mat and in the gym and help other people to achieve the same thing, whether they're bodybuilders, powerlifters, or athletes. And my goal isn't just necessarily be just the biggest guy, but I want to be able to perform well at the same time. So that is all. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Also, I was going to mention that I'm going to be at the Olympia this coming weekend with Slingshot. So if you guys are there, go ahead and, comment down below. Let me know if you're going to be there. If you got to this part of the Q&A, comment hashtag this is a long fucking Q&A. And then also let me know if you're going to be at the Olympia so we can meet. But yeah, guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the Q&A. No question of the day. This is Nsima the Centaur Inyang from Break the Bar. Don't forget to comment down below the hashtag. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and I'll talk to all of you very, very soon.